It's a fairly big week for World of Tanks console, and today's video is going to showcase exactly how you can earn 2 free tanks, along with discussing a tank that everybody wants to get within the game, the Object 279E, which will be coming at the end of March, according to Wargaming's previous news articles. Haven't got anything else on that, but let's get right into the update news for this week, and we'll talk about the new tanks and stuff that have come into the game as well. So first things first, for those of you looking to get something for nothing, well, you're in luck this month. We've got 2 free tier 6 tanks within the game, and these include the M4A3E8 Thunderbolt 7, which is, of course, a tier 6 kind of Sherman, essentially. You can see the statistics of the tank right here, 128 pen, 115 damage. It's looking like a fairly standard premium tier 6 Sherman that we've previously got within the game. So there's not too much of a difference between this and something like the tech tree version. Is a premium, so you earn more silver. You'll also earn more XP with this thing, so it's a little bit of a XP earner. Maybe you can use that to your advantage, but probably not too much. Pretty bad aim time and accuracy for a tank that reloads in 3 seconds, so not necessarily awful, but it's certainly not one of the most accurate / most or best aim time tanks that you're going to be seeing within World of Tanks. But it really is a tank that comes down to your personal preference, and you'll be able to, of course, get it for free. It's not the only thing, however, that you can get for free as part of this Brothers in Arms challenge, where essentially you can earn a top secret keycard. All you have to do is essentially play in a platoon and win 100 battles. If you do that, your 100th prize will be the top secret keycard, which is good. Obviously gets you gold, and you can get extra stuff as well. Now, as part of this, once again, you also have extra stuff that comes with this, and that is in the form of the Bootcamp Victory, whereby you can earn Bootcamp Victory 1. You've got multiple different stages for each of them. You've got weapons, you've got victory, you've got mobility, survival, vision, and prepare for the front. And all of these added together will get you the potential to get the Thunderbolt for free. Well, not potential, but will get you the Thunderbolt for free. All you have to essentially do for these is like place in the top 7 XP earners on your team 15 times, you'll get key card, win 30 battles will get you the rest of the rewards, and as you're going through and you're getting 30 wins and stuff like that, or destroying 40 or more vehicles in any number of battles, you're going to be completing them simultaneously. And so it's not really a challenge that takes too much thought process. All you have to do is play between either tiers 3 and 10 on the World War II game mode, or if you're playing Cold War, you can play any era within the game and you'll get them all as part of that as well. So just pick tiers 3 all the way up to like era 3 essentially, so you can play any tank in the game that is available to you, except from the old kind of tanks that were removed from the game, being the tier 1s and 2s. But not only that, Bootcamp weapons, you've got the rewards of the confidential keycard, so you can effectively get 2 confidential keycards. You're also getting all of these extras, which are essentially the silver boosters. You're getting days of premium, you're getting premium consumables as well. And for this one, the mobility one, you have to destroy 5 or more tracks in 20 battles. So you have to actually destroy 5 tracks within one singular battle. So you're going to have to actually aim for once within World of Tanks console, which might be harder for a few people since the auto aim works so well on console. However, this is probably a good thing, get people to actually aim for once, and hopefully we'll be seeing people not be so reckless with just kind of auto aiming everything that they come up against. However, you know, will it actually affect it that much? Probably not. Bootcamp Survival, we're getting extras, which is essentially your block damage and dealing damage to at least 50% of your health. So these are all like pretty generic items that you can complete. Got vision here, which is available for any tank, but Wargaming recommend, of course, playing light tanks, mediums, or tank destroyers. Obviously, the better the vision, or the better the camo, or combine them both, you're basically going to be able to get this done pretty easily. And all you have to do is like get assistance damage and essentially deal 1,000 damage from a long distance away. And then if you complete all of those different individual operations, you will complete the boot camp and of course receive the free tier 6 tank, the Thunderbolt 7, which, you know, is not too bad considering all of the rewards that are probably worth it just for the rewards themselves being the confidential keycards. And make sure that if you are playing, try and platoon up if possible to get the potential of getting that top secret keycard. This is available all the way until the 19th of April, so it's not like you're kind of limited by time. You've got a long time to be able to complete this, so make sure that you're jumping on the game, just going through them pretty casually. You're not going to have to sweat it out unless you seriously have to or need to or really want to. But yeah, it's a pretty easy challenge to be honest with you. But that's not it for this week. We have, of course, got the Tanks Reforged event and on-track US turreted tank destroyers, along with some sales as well that we'll talk about at the end. Now, these Tanks Reforged, what do you actually get with these new tanks? Have they broken some of the US turreted tank destroyers in the form of the T110E4 line? Unfortunately, T110E4 hasn't actually got any buffs. Well, not unfortunately, because it's a pretty balanced tank at the minute. But yeah, for those of you who maybe want to see the E4 get even more like powered up or supered up than what it was previously with the Reforged Legends, yeah, I don't think that this is going to be the update for you. However, the T30 is getting some pretty sizable upgrades, albeit to the lower tier guns or the lower upgrade guns, which are the 105mm and the 120mm. Wargaming's aim with this on-track event was to basically buff the stock grinds of all of these, and so you're seeing the kind of the first guns being the ones that are getting the sizable buffs. However, the hull armour of the tank is getting buffed as well, both being the upper and lower plate of the tank, and the machine gun port's also getting buffed as well. So essentially removing pretty much the frontal armour, like super weak spots, so maybe you will be able to bounce with the T30, but I don't hold out too much hope, and I think that you're probably still going to be taking a lot of damage anyway through that hull armour of the T30, because it's a tier 9 essentially and only has 127mm on the upper plate, so don't go thinking you're going to be like super heavy kind of armour, but yeah, there we go. Not only that, the turret has also got a buff, so this is probably more sizable, being the turret, or the rear of the turret, has gone up to 203mm, and also that super weak top of the turret for being the 38mm on the roof that could get auto-penned by a lot of the high caliber guns within the game has now been buffed to 63.5mm, so no longer can it just get super overmatched straight through the top of the turret. And the hatch on the tank has also got buffed by nearly double here, making it a lot harder to be able to pen. So we're looking at the turret being a lot stronger on the T30, and maybe I'll just have to pull out these tanks, see how they are in the buffs in the next week, and showcase that to you guys. So stay tuned for each review of these weird and novel tanks, being the T28 Pro and the T30 that are in the game. Talking about the T28 prototype, getting the similar sort of story. The turret armour has been buffed from 208 to 240, which is really good, and the side armour has also got buffed on the turret, going from 139 all the way up to 165, which is nice. The rotation speed of the turret has got buffed on turret. The 90mm AT gun has also got reduced reload and also reduced dispersion, which means that you can be more accurate when kind of bloomed out, and you'll also get reload down, which means your DPM's better. And not only that, the 105 has also got a buff whereby the dispersion is lower, which means you're more accurate essentially. And not only that, the chassis has also got a buff to its rotation speed, so you're not as slow turning as the T28 Pro was previously, and that definitely limited the tank, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the game now. And probably the tank that needed the biggest buffs, and one that probably received one of the worst buffs, is the T25/2. It is awful, and Wargaming have essentially tried to balance it by giving the turret a better traverse speed. Wow, they've given the 76mm armour around gun. They've improved the terrain resistances, so they're a little bit better on chassis 1. And on chassis 2, they've improved the traverse speed so you can turn a little bit quicker, and the terrain resistances have been improved as well. So essentially you can turn a little bit faster on both the turret and the hull armour, or the hull of the tank, and that's it for the T25/2. This tank probably needed some more sizable buffs, being something with the DPM to make it at least a little bit better within the game. I don't think that this tank is ever going to be good, at least if Wargaming keep doing buffs like this. But there we go, I guess we'll have to see. Talking about tanks that needed buffs, and let's talk about a tank that definitely didn't need any buffs, and it's the M18 Hellcat down at tier 6, the Seal Clubber's weapon of choice. This tank has got buffs to its dispersion, so the accuracy of the tank, so basically it's got better accuracy now. It's also got better reload on all of the lower tier guns on the vehicle, so not the 90mm which does the 240 alpha, but these are the ones that can be a little bit more rapid, so that's going to be definitely something to take into account if you're playing the Hellcat or you're clubbing down at tier 6 in this tank, is maybe it is worth now playing with the 76mm AT gun M1A2, which is of course the top 76mm. So essentially you've got really good dispersion and pretty good reload as well now, and the rotation speed of the turret's got even better, going from 16 to 18. Turret speed was terrible to begin with, so any buffs to that is going to really help out. And not only that, the chassis, both of them have got buffs as well, so the shot dispersion during movement has got better, and the shot dispersion during reload or rotation has got better as well, so you can definitely be more accurate with this tank overall, and that's regardless of whichever gun you're using, because the chassis affects the dispersion overall as well. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit of a kind of controversial bust to a tank that really didn't need any. Talking about tanks that didn't need any, we've got another one here, the tier 6, or the tier 5, the T67 tank destroyer, which is of course one of the Seal Clubbers again, and this one has essentially got the same sort of thing where the dispersions got reduced on both the turret rotation and also the after shot dispersion on the first turret, and on the second turret you're getting just the after shot dispersion, and on the 3-inch AT gun you're getting the reload buff as well. So yeah, interesting to see why they've buffed the tier 5 and 6 on the line. I really don't think they needed it, other than maybe the very first stock stuff that was on the tank. But yeah, obviously tier 4 has also got some buffs. It's not really too much to worry about. It's basically just a little bit better accuracy on all of the guns and better dispersion. So that's always good. And then as part of this, we've also got the Tier 5 VK6501H heavy tank, which has added basically the Mantlet buff to 145mm, which they must have missed. And then included in the kind of buffs that they've released is obviously the buffs to the Demolisher T28, the premium auto-loading version of the T28 prototype, which has the buffs to its armor and the dispersion buffs as well, and the dispersion whilst moving, so that's always good. And then in addition to that, because of the release of the Nameless and the Edelweiss again back into the game, we've also got a gun depression buff on the side of the tank from 5 to 8 degrees, which is actually really sizable. You're going to be able to be a lot more flexible actually with this tank, so that's looking good. And then, of course, the mercenary vehicle at tier 8, well, the only mercenary vehicle at tier 8, has got a buff as well to both the view range, frontal armour, and also the aim time of the gun, which will probably help this tank out quite a bit. I don't think this tank was necessarily very overpowered or really that good within the game. And not only that, you will also get a 50% silver discount between tiers 3 and 6, and also a 30% silver discount between tiers 7 and 10, and as usual, a 25% XP bonus playing any tank that leads to the T110E4. So that's really good for you guys to kind of grind through, and I do recommend you actually play through this tank and tank tree within the game. God, I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, the tech tree for this tank is definitely one to go for, and probably one of the first starting tech tree lines I would recommend, really, because you've got the alpha damage and also the armor in most regards, and also the fact that you have to learn to go hold down and learn that kind of playstyle as well. So definitely something I would recommend. And without further ado, let's get on to the other news. on this video. So of course we have the new vehicle, the ISU 152K, which a review will be coming tomorrow, showcasing just how disgusting this tank is in the game and how quickly this tank really can rack up damage within console, and why I think that this may just be my new favourite Soviet tank destroyer within the game. Yeah, really fun one to play. And not only that, the tanks are reforged, obviously, as we talked about, but we also have the on-track special edition for the UK, where essentially you get 50% off tiers 3 to 6 and 30% off tiers 7 to 10. And this is on every single World War II British Tech Tree tank between the 1st of March to the 8th of March, so it lasts 1 week. So make sure that you're purchasing any tanks that maybe you don't own or you want to try out again within the game. Really great time to do that. And as part of this, we also have the challenges and events for the HMH T3485M, which we covered in yesterday's video, that you can go and check out, along with a full review of the T3485M 3 days ago when this video gets uploaded, whereby we look at the tank and how well this tank really can perform. It is genuinely such a great tank, and you really need to make sure that you do this operation within the game, because it is an amazing tier 6 tank to get your hands on. And then of course Boot Camp is the other tier 6 free premium tank. And Brothers in Arms, obviously, to get that top secret key card. And then we have, of course, the final element of the video, other than the personal offers and some other information, is the special sales, at which we'll kind of review which is actually worth it. We have the Tank of the Month for the HMH AMX 1357. If you're a new player, I would just avoid this tank. It's just not a new player friendly tank in the game. It's a light tank that really is a pea shooter, 10-shot autoloader. I think it has like 85 damage per shot. I mean, we can actually fact check that. 90 damage per shot even, 10-shot autoloader, 900 total alpha. And this tank has a 1 second intraclip reload, so it's like a proper machine gun, this one. But I feel like it's very sluggish for the majority of situations. Max speed of 61 kilometers an hour, and it doesn't usually get up to that in the majority of situations because the terrain resistances were bad when I used to play it. Don't know if Wargaming buffed it recently, but yeah, I just don't think it's particularly very new player friendly, and you have to rely on a lot of the kind of higher tier tactics within World of Tanks to make it fully work within the game and have like really super results as well. Now, moving swiftly onwards, themed bundles. We have probably one of the better bundles that I've seen in a long time, which features some really great tanks, and that includes the T54E2 heavy tank, the autoloading tier 8 American tank, the Nomad Somua SM, which is a fantastic tank as well, literally the same tank as the Somua SM, it's just a skinned version, and the Dreadnought KV2, which is probably the best premium tier 7 tank, at least in terms of like just the sheer overpoweredness of the tank. And then the Alpine Tiger WZ111, which is probably the worst of the lot, but it's still pretty okay. You're not going to be having terrible games playing in this tank, but it's one to kind of think about. And of course you get a load of silver boosters, vehicle XP boosters and commander XP boosters, and if you really are looking for a lot of heavy tanks within World of Tanks to just get to grips with the game, 15,700 gold, although it is a lot, is probably one of the better bundles that I've seen Wargaming release in the most recent times within the game, and you're getting some really good ones. It's not like they've just shoved in a load of rubbish in between like one good tank like they usually do. And then we have, of course, got the From the East bundle, where we kind of go back to the typical, where they shove in some mediocre tanks in with some pretty okay ones, being the T62 M1, German tier 8 Lerva, which is actually pretty good within the game, the STA2, which is also really good, and the CS52, which is mediocre / kind of average within the game. To purchase that, 17,600, I would 100% recommend this bundle every single day of the week over purchasing this one right here. But of course it is up to you guys. It's just my opinion. I'm just giving you what's the most competitive tank, not necessarily what you'd kind of like within the game. And then we have the M60A1 Rise, the Patton or the passive, which is a Cold War tank. You're then getting the T-34 Black, which is mediocre, but probably one of my favourite premium tanks and why I 3 marked it in the game. Then the Atomic Centurion, which is mediocre, and the HMH AMX M58 light tank, which is a very mediocre light tank. It has a pretty nice autoloader in terms of statistics wise, 300 alpha damage. I think it gets 3 per shot clip, but this tank is terrible. The dispersion is terrible, the accuracy is terrible, the aim time is not particularly great for a light tank, and yeah, it's just not a particularly very good tank within the game overall anyway. And so yeah, the 18,000 gold price tag for this, I wouldn't spend my money on it, so make of that what you will. Of course, then we get the weekly sales where you can basically just purchase some kind of mediocre tanks, the mid-tier staples. There's nothing really to kind of highlight here. There's nothing I really would say get or don't get. The only tank that I think is kind of worth it for you guys and is very cheap as well this week is the Tier 1 LPC, the double shot that you can see, otherwise known as the Stone Cold. It's kind of the skinned version of the tank, 3,820 gold for that. And it is really, really good. We did a review of the tank not too long ago, so hopefully you can go back in the videos and take a look at that, because it really is a good tank within the game. And then, of course, the super savings where you can pick up the Britannia Panther for half the price, the full price, and the FCM50T, which is 2 pretty mediocre tanks / ones that aren't really too much to write home about, but there you go. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. Of course, if you want to check out any other videos, then make sure to check out the ones on screen, and if you want to check out some of the tanks that we've mentioned, being the HMH T-34 85M, we did a video recently, and we are going to be doing a video on the ISU 152K tomorrow, so make sure that you are subscribed to make sure that you get that video when it does get released within the game. And of course, thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy, and of course, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of this update news, and I hope that you'll join me in the next one. Goodbye.